Hello, am I audible to all of you?
Hello, am I audible to you? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, am I audible to you? Can you hear me, everyone?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, hello. Okay, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. So you have your this is for your BEGC 107, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, what the other papers you have for your syllabus for your semester? You have BGC 105 and 106.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I'm extremely sorry that I couldn't, join the first two sessions. I apologize for the inconvenience that I may have caused. Uh, okay, so okay, there is some disturbance coming from. Okay, yeah. So, do you have this syllabus? Do you have any idea what you are going to study for this paper? Do you have the syllabus, or do you have any study material or
Yes,
anything like that? So, can you just enlighten me with what you have in your syllabus?
I have this study material, ma'am. BGC 107.
Okay. So, for that, you have your 17th and 18th century
Yes, ma'am.
poetry and drama, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. See, actually, I should have taken your other two sessions. Uh, since you are in English honors, can you just tell me if it is your first semester or third semester? Which
It's
semester are you in?
third semester, ma'am.
Okay, this is your third semester. So, since this is your third semester, you must have got some idea about history of English literature. Do you have any idea about history of English literature? How English literature started? And what is the reason behind reading history of English literature? Do you have any idea about that?
No, ma'am.
Uh, are you aware of the ages of different ages like Anglo-Saxons, Anglo-Normans,
हाँ
Elizabethan
अंदर क्लास
age?
चलती हाँ हाँ
Ma'am, there is
ଆପଣ
no
ଘରକୁ ଗଲେ ବି ଜଏନ୍ କରିପାରିବେ ଆଉ
third semester or second semester, so I'm not aware of any.
ନା ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଟା ବନ୍ଦ କରିବେନି ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଟା ଆପଣ
Yes, go
ନାଇଁ
on.
ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଟା ଆପଣ ଅଫ୍ କରିଦେଲେ ନାଇଁ ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଟା ଅଫ୍ କରିବେନି ସେ ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ଚାଲିବ ଥରେ ରେକର୍ଡିଂ କରିଦେବେ ହଁ
Yes, can you just tell me
ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ କହିବା
what?
କଥା ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣ ଅଫ୍ କରିଦେଲେ ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଟାକୁ ଅଫ୍ କରିନାହାନ୍ତି ତ ହଁ ଟୋଟାଲ ଅଫ୍ କଲେ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ ସେଟା ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ନବ ସେ ତାର ଆପଣ ଯଦି ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଲିଭ୍ ହେଇଯିବେ ସିଏ ତାର ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ତାଙ୍କର ଚାଲୁଥିବ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ବନ୍ଦ ହବନି ହଁ ହଁ ଆମ କାମ ହଉଛି ଆମେ ହଷ୍ଟେଲରୁ ଆମେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଦେଇକି ଆମ କାମ ଲିଭ୍ ହେଇଗଲୁ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ତାଙ୍କର କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଚାଲିବ। ମାନେ 2 ଜଣ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଜଏନ୍ କରେଇଦେଲ, ମାନେ ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ଆଉ ସାରଙ୍କୁ। ହେଲା, ଜଏନ୍
ସାର୍
କରିଦେଲା
ଆପଣ
ପରେ ଆମ
ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ୍
କାମ ସରିଗଲା।
ଅଛନ୍ତି।
ତେଣିକି ତାର ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ତାଙ୍କର ଚାଲିବ ସେଠି। ସେମାନେ ଏଣ୍ଟ୍ରି କରିଥିବେ, ବାହାରୁଥିବେ, ଲିଭ୍ ହଉଥିବେ, ଆସୁଥିବେ, ସେ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ।
ସାର୍ ଆପଣ
ବୁଝିଲ କି?
ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ୍ ଅଛନ୍ତି।
ହଁ। ହଁ, ହଁ, ହଁ।
ଓ ଓକେ
ତାଙ୍କ
ସୋ
ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଚାଲିଥିବ, ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ହେଇଥିବ। ତାର ମେଲ୍ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣ କାଲି ଖୋଜିବେ, ଦେଖିବେ ସେଠି ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ହେଇଥିବ। ଅଟୋମେଟିକ୍ ମେଲ୍ ରେ ପଶିଥିବ, ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ହେଇଥିବ ସେଟା। ଘରେ ପହଞ୍ଚିଗଲେଣି ଆପଣ? ପହଞ୍ଚିଲେ ନା? ହଉ ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି।
ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ଆପଣ ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ୍ ହେଇକି ଅଛନ୍ତି ସାର୍। Okay, anyways. So listen, I really don't want to waste any more of your time. Let me just give you a brief idea about what you are going to study in this unit and what are the things that you should have studied. What are the things that you should know before jumping into this unit. All right. Now, you must have heard of the fact that history has been divided into different ages or different centuries. And in order to read literature, in order to understand literature, you need to understand the history of that particular century. All right. Let's say, for example, let's talk about, if we talk about William Shakespeare, or let's talk about Ben Jonson or John Dryden. They all come from different ages, from different centuries, from different eras. Now, why do we read history before reading literature? The reason why we read history, because you must have heard that literature or any art is always a mirror of the society. Okay, it is a mirror of the society. Now, when a writer writes, let's say, for example, let's say that a writer is writing from a contemporary age or, from 2021, we have a writer. And for example, a writer writes about something regarding this pandemic or any kind of virus. And the people who will read that book, they will get to know that, during that century, during that year, there was something called as, there was a virus, there was a deadly virus, there was pandemic everywhere. People were dying. All right. So they will get a better knowledge about what the writer is trying to say. All right. What are the feelings that the writer is putting into that particular book? What is the mood of the writer? What is the tone of the writer? And what kind of impact it will have on the readers? Okay. Similarly, when you read literature, before reading literature, make sure that you are well aware of the history of England. When we are reading history of English literature, we are basically targeting the literature that comes from or that have come from England. All right. And in order to read literature, you need to read history of England. When you read history, you will come across the different kinds of art, different forms of literature that was being written. Who were the writers? And every writer, you will find that every writer coming from different ages, coming from different centuries, they have their different writing styles. All right. you know People coming from let's say 11th century or 15th century or 16th century, their writing is completely different from what from uh, the kind of writing that 21st century writers they do. All right. Is there any doubt? Hello?
No, ma'am.
All right. So, before anything, can you tell me what kind of history book are you using? You must have heard that in order to read history, you need to have a history book. So, can you tell me what, from which publisher or by which historian or by which writer you are, reading the history of English literature by which writer? Can you tell me? Is there any book that has been prescribed to you? Let's say you have books by David Dyches, you have books by Ruth Rich, you have books by Edward Albert, you have books by William J. Long, you have Pelican. So I will recommend you, since you are honest student, okay, you are honest student, you are graduate,
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me,
sorry,
ma'am. Ma'am, I have
yes,
read. At the time when I was doing my regular classes, I have studied the William Jason's book.
William J. Long.
Yes, ma'am. William Jason's book
Yes,
of
yes.
history English language.
All right, all right. William J. Long is a good book. You know, it has the English is really simple. Yes, English is really simple. You will be able to understand everything. But other than that, other than William J. Long, you have, as I told you, that you have David Dyches. David Dyches, it comes in 4 volumes. Okay, in 4 different volumes. Okay, you can buy David Dyches. Then you have Andrew Sanders. Okay, that is an Oxford book of English literature, history of English literature. Andrew Sanders. So these are some of the books that you need to study. Let me tell you, since you are English honors students, you need to have a clear idea about the history of England and history of literature before going into any literary work, before going into any literary text. It is highly recommended to study history. Like, let's say, for example, after your bachelor's, you're planning to do masters, okay? Or you're planning to, you want to build a career out of this, okay? For that, you need to appear some entrance exams, okay? You need to appear some entrance exams, and in those entrance exams, they will ask you questions from history only, okay? So you really need to, buy any book, any book of your choice, be it Ruth Rich, be it David Dyches, uh, be it Pelican, or be it Oxford, okay, or William J. Long, buy and read them, okay. So, since I was supposed to take your sessions, for uh, for BEGC 105 and 106, but I couldn't. But in this in this unit, you have your 17th and 18th century English. Okay, 17th and 18th century English poetry and drama. All right. So, in your previous semesters, you must have heard about, or you must have read about university wits and Shakespeare, William Shakespeare. Have you ever heard of William Shakespeare? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what were the plays that you have read by William Shakespeare? Yes. What were the plays that you have read by William Shakespeare? Is it Macbeth? Is it Hamlet? Is it King Lear?
Othello, ma'am. I have read Othello.
Okay. All right, all right, all right. Okay. Now, if we come to 17th century, In 17th century, you have dramatists or you have playwrights. Okay. Now, dramatists are also called playwrights. Okay. Dramatists are also called playwrights. Now, you have playwrights like, or you have dramatists like Ben Jonson. Okay. Ben Jonson. And then you have John Webster. All right. John Webster, he has a famous work, The Duchess of Malfi. Okay. Do you have a syllabus for this unit? Do you have a syllabus for this unit, you guys?
Yes, ma'am. We have four blocks, and
Okay.
in that, on which the preface of the book has given the syllabus, ma'am.
Okay, so what is there in the syllabus? First of all, I think you have Duchess of Malfi,
Yes, ma'am. And the
and
second one is John Milton's Lycidas and Sonnet 19,
all right. Then
El Allegro,
Lycidas, all right, all right, all right.
and block
And
3 of Dryden, Mac Flecknoy,
okay,
and block 4 is about Alexander Pope and his work about the rape of the lock.
Rape of the Lock, all right, all right, all right. See, now you have John Webster. Okay, you have John Webster, Duchess of Malfi. Okay, now I will give you a recommendation. This is something that I always say to my student. Whenever you read a play, whenever you read a drama, just imagine that you are in the audience or you are the audience and you are watching a play being performed on a stage. Okay, just do that. And when you read a drama like you are watching it, then you will be able to enjoy the real essence of the drama, different elements of the drama, different literary figures of the drama. You will be able to, able to enjoy the crafts, the masterpiece, the minute things that a dramatist puts into a drama. Okay, everything, the characters, the dialogues that they exchange, the costumes that they wear, the props that they use. Just imagine that you are the audience and you are watching the drama being performed on the stage in front of you. Can you do that? Anyway,
Try, ma'am.
yes, I mean that is how you can really enjoy the drama. Yes. Okay, so what you have Duchess of Malfi. Okay, Duchess of Malfi by John Webster. Now let me tell you that Duchess of Malfi is a tragedy. Okay, it is a tragedy. You must have heard that plays are divided into different things. You have different genres. You have tragedy, you have comedy, you have comic tragedy. All right, you have farce, you have romantic comedy. Okay, so Duchess of Malfi, it is a tragedy. It is written by John Webster. Okay, now what is happening that when you read a play, when you read a typical, let's say, 16th century play or 17th century play, you will come to know that they follow William Shakespeare and they follow the kind of structure that William Shakespeare has given to English literature. You will see that every play, they are divided into five acts. Okay, every play they are divided into five acts, and each act has several scenes. Okay, each act has several scenes. There is exposition act, all right, one act where you get exposed to different characters, and you get exposed to the minor characters, you get exposed to the major characters, all right? And you will understand what is happening there, what is the problem. When you read tragedy, you will come to know there is always a problem. There is always some difficulty. There is always some complication or some complexity, and you will be introduced to that kind of complexity on the very first act itself. Okay, you have exposition act. Exposition act is somewhere, it is something where you get exposed to the main subject of the play. All right. Then you have your rising in action. Okay, when the serious action is gradually rising. Just imagine, it's like you're watching a movie. Okay, it's like you're watching a movie. What happens in a movie? When you are watching a movie, you see the first scene, or the initial part. You get introduced with the actor, you get introduced with the actress, you get introduced with the family of the actor or family of the actress and their friends, right? And then what happens? The problem or the complexity, it gradually rises, it slowly rises. Yes. Okay, so that is called rising of action. And then you will come to a point where it will be the climax of the play. Now, if you are into movies, into films, then you must have heard, or you must be knowing about the climax. You must have heard about the climax, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you will come to a point, even plays, they have a climax. Okay, that is something where the main action happens. Okay, main action happens. Then after the climax, you have falling off action. What is falling off action? Falling off action is, something where, the problem starts to settle down. It begins to settle down. Okay, the truths are revealed, the liars are exposed, a murderer is exposed. Okay, so it is a point when the actors, or it is a point when the characters, they start to realize what is happening or what must have happened. Like, let's say, for example, there is some kind of a plot, or there is some kind of conspiracy. Yes. So the main actor, who was absolutely unaware, who was absolutely unaware of something that was happening, he will start to realize. Okay, so the complexity, so the problems, they will start to settle down after the climax, and that is your falling off action. Okay, and then finally you have a resolution or a denouement. What happens in denouement? Denouement is your concluding part. Okay, it is your conclusion. All right, it is your conclusion where the actors, they, either the hero and the heroine, they marry each other, or the hero dies. In case of tragedy, the main character dies. All right, the main character dies, and something else happens. That has a tragic end. Okay, now, this is your typical structure of a play. Did you understand, or do you have any doubt? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Okay. Do you have any doubt regarding this?
No, ma'am,
No,
not
ma'am.
from
All right. What about others?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. So, what happens in, what happens in Duchess of Malfi? Now, Duchess of Malfi, it is, also a tragedy. Okay. And tragedy is somewhere, a tragedy is something where uh, there is some plotting and there is some planning and there is some deadly planning. Okay. There is always a threat upon the main characters, be it the female character, the main female character, or the main male character. Okay. Now, in Duchess of Malfi, okay, Duchess of Malfi, you have a duchess. Now, who is a duchess? Duchess is someone who comes from a royal family. Okay, duchess is a designation, it is a position, it is a title. Okay, so the duchess, she
Brother of
comes
the
from, sorry,
and Duchess means the brother of the king, right?
no, duchess, that is a Dutch, Dutch and duchess. So they all come from the royal family and they are held responsible for a particular place. Let's say, for example, there is a big kingdom. Okay, there is a big kingdom or there is a big country, and different parts of the country they are given to different royal people. Okay, in order to protect it, in order to guide it, in order to in order to guard it. All right. So Duchess, she is, she comes from a royal family. She has a royal blood. Okay. So now she comes from an Italian town. Okay. She comes from an Italian town, a town which is in Italy. Okay. And that town is called Amalfi. Okay, Italian town of Amalfi. See, I don't think I can just go through the entire play. It is on you to read it. Okay, I will just give you a brief idea. And what are the things that you need to keep in your mind while you read the play? Okay, I hope you're noting down everything. Yes. So you have a duchess here in this play. Okay, as the title suggests, Duchess of Malfi. You have a duchess, and she is a widow. I hope you understand what a widow means.
Yes,
Who
ma'am.
is a widow? A
Whose
widow is
husband
some.
is separate.
All right, yes, thank you. Whose husband is no more. Okay, now this widow, this duchess, she has two brothers. Okay, Cardinal and Ferdinand, Duke Ferdinand and Cardinal. Okay, Duke and Duchess. So she has a brother named Duke Ferdinand, and she has another brother, Cardinal. Now, Duchess of Malfi, since she has that designation, she has that power. Her two brothers are jealous of her. Okay, her two brothers, they are jealous of her. They want to, take everything that Duchess of Malfi has. All right. So what happens now? Duchess of Malfi, she is secretly in love with another man who is from the court itself. Okay, the Duchess, she is secretly in love with another man named Antonio. Okay, named Antonio. Now, what happens that Antonio is also in love with the Duchess. Okay, but they know that the brothers of the Duchess, they are evil. They won't let the marriage happen. They won't let the communion happen or the reunion happen. So what they do, they decide to marry secretly. Okay, they decide to marry secretly. Now what happens in the later part? Now there is another character named Basola. Okay, there is another character named Basola. Okay, now Basola has been appointed by the brothers. Okay, Basola has been appointed by the brothers to keep a watch on the Duchess. to keep an eye on the Duchess, because they doubt that there is something going on with Duchess, okay, with the Duchess. So Basola has been appointed by the brothers. Now, what is happening? Basola, he is not a good character at first. He's not a good character. He's an evil character at first, okay? So he keeps an eye, and then gradually, uh, when the Duchess and Antonio they marry, Basola he comes to know, he successfully comes to know that the Duchess and Antonio they are hiding something from them. And in the meantime, the Duchess she also gets pregnant. Okay, she also gets pregnant. So what happens when the brothers they come to know? When the brothers they come to know, they imprison the Duchess. Okay, they put her in jail. They put her in prison. Okay, they kill their children. Okay, now before that, the Duchess, she gives birth to few children. Okay, and those two brothers, Ferdinand and Cardinal, they are so evil that they put the Duchess and her children in the prison. And they make her suffer so much, they torture her so much, and they kill the children of who? The Duchess. Okay, Antonio is not there, Antonio is absent. Then there is another son of Antonio, he is also not there. They're somewhere away. And behind their backs, the Duchess of Amalfi and their children, they're suffering a lot. Okay, and then gradually you will know that the Duchess she dies. The two children of Duchess even they die. Then later Antonio, when he comes to the palace, then when he comes to know that behind his back so many things has happened, you know, later on he dies as well. Antonio dies as well. Okay? And there is one other son who later becomes the king, who takes the throne, who becomes the duke. And what happens to the brothers? What happens to the brothers? You know, even they died, even they have some tragic death. Like, one of them goes mad, you know, one of them is very much guilty. One of them is very much guilty, like, they shouldn't have done so, they shouldn't have tortured, they shouldn't have exploited, or they shouldn't have harassed the Duchess or their sister to death. Okay, so there is one brother who is very much in guilt that this is something that shouldn't have happened. And then there is another brother who never changes, he never changes his attitude. Even when he dies, he is at a guilt. I mean, sorry, he doesn't feel guilty about it. Okay, so there is a showdown, and Antonio he comes and he just kills the other brother, Cardinal. Okay, now when you read the play, see the play is huge. So it's not possible to compile everything or to explain everything just in one or two classes. Okay, so what you do is that you read the play on your own. I just gave you a brief overview, but I will tell you what are the things that you need to focus on when you're reading a play. Focus on the main important lines. Focus on the quotations. When you are writing any answer or while you're writing any assignment, it is important to give quotations. Do you understand what a quotation means? Do you understand what a quotation means? Anyone?
Yes, and when the line said by the uh, author or the line given by the character himself or herself.
Yes, the lines said by the characters. Okay. So when you are giving the quotation, make sure that the quotations are accurate. Every word is accurate. You just cannot write quotation however you remember it. It has to be accurate because these are the words that someone else has spoken. Make sure when you write quotation, make sure when you give quotations, that quotation, every word, every line, every expression has to be accurate. Yes. What else? uh, you need to uh, you need to go through every character sketch. Okay, you need to go through the character of Basola. Basola is a really important character. Okay, Basola is a really important character. Make sure you study about Basola because Basola, he has an important role in it. Although the Duchess is the major character, although Antonio is a major character, and what we often do is we just ignore the minor characters and we focus on the major characters. Even in the movies that we watch, we always ignore the minor characters and we focus on the major characters. But what is the role of a minor character? A minor character will always say something or will always do something that will carry the play forward. Okay, so an importance of a minor character is huge. It is eminent. So do read about Basola. Okay, in every scene, in every act, you will know how Basola, how he has a change of heart. Even towards the end, you will see that Basola is also very guilty about what he has done. Okay, he has a change of heart. Okay, you will come to know about the journey of Basola, and of course, you know, you will have to study about Duke Ferdinand and the Cardinal. Okay, the two brothers of Duchess. So the characters are really important. The character sketch. The question might always come: analyze the character of this, analyze the character of that, analyze the character of the Duchess or the character of Cardinal or the character of Ferdinand. Make sure you know the character in and out, inside and out. Okay? And whenever you are writing any assignment or any answer for your examination, then make sure when you are writing the characters, you are giving some important quotations that they might have said, the important dialogues that they might have said in the play. Okay, and then you will come across um, the character, the anxiety of the Duchess. Okay, the Duchess, the torture that the Duchess goes through, the kind of torture. Make sure you read every line which has something to do with the torture. Because Duke Ferdinand, what he does, he just he threatens the Duchess in such a way that anyone will feel like they're watching a horror movie, or they will feel like they should die rather than facing that torture. Okay, so one more advice: when you read this play, just imagine yourself to be the audience. Okay, imagine yourself to be the audience. That is how you will enjoy the flavor of the play. Okay, make sure you know how the entire play has been divided between acts and scenes, and what are the literary devices, like you have soliloquies, you have aside. Okay, you have catharsis. All right, so there are many different techniques that you have to go through. All right. Do you understand? Are you able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get an idea how to read a drama? How to read the characters? See, obviously, I cannot go through, I cannot just read line by line. That is something that you will have to do. And you have to read between the lines. The lines that they speak, y- every line they have, it has some meaning. Every word has some meaning. You need to find out those meanings. The language, the English, the English that they used to write in, it was quite different from the English that we use in today's time, in contemporary time. If you have read Shakespeare, if you have read Shakespeare, then you might
Ma'am, that
have
was in
realized.
old era.
Yes, exactly. Old era, as in, yes, it was 16th, 17th century. So, the English was quite different. It was grand, it was sublime.
The
Okay,
spellings have many difference in it
yes, they
also.
used to use thou, thee, thy. The spellings were different. The way they used to address. See, the point is that during those times, they used to write something that is related to the royal families, or that has something to do with the king, or with the king,
Both
or with the
the
prince.
both.
Yes, with the court life. Okay, so, the language, you will find it is similarly grand and sublime. Of course, in today's time, the way we address our friends, the way we address our teachers, the way we address our parents, we are not going to call them Your Highness, Your Majesty, and all of those things, right? So this is the reason this is the reason why you have to understand the history, or the time in which that particular writer was writing. Okay, Duchess of Malfi, John Webster, he came from a certain age. In order to understand his work, in order to understand his characters, in order to understand the kind of language that he used, you really have to understand that he came from a time where such languages were rampantly used. Okay, and let's talk about the widow. Okay, if we talk about the widow, the Duchess of Malfi. Now, in today's time, yes, the things have changed, the things are changing. But during those time, a life of a widow was really difficult. The society will not let a widow live happily. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. There were so many restrictions upon them.
Yes,
And
there were
uh,
restrictions, and it was a patriarchal society. What is a patriarchal society? A society where the men, they have the voice over the woman. They decide how a woman should act. They decide how a woman should behave. They decide how a woman should sit, how a woman should eat, how a woman should get dressed up, who should she talk to, who should she avoid. Okay, so now Duchess of Malfi, it is a great example of a patriarchal society. What a man can do to a woman, especially if that woman is a widow. Okay, right. So you really have to understand the historical context. Fine. So, okay, so I will just stop here. Okay, I will just stop here. And I guess you were waiting for me for the previous two sessions.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm extremely sorry. Actually, I had some other engagement. Nevertheless, um, when do we have our next session? Is it on 19th?
Yes, ma'am, on 19.
It is on 19th. Okay. Then on 19th, we will go through your what BEGC 105, BEGC 106, and BEGC 107. Okay. We will go,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, we will go through all those sections, all those units, and if possible, try to join on time. Okay, be here on time, right? So I hope,
Okay, ma'am.
yes, thank you so much. I hope I hope you understood everything, whatever I told you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, am I going a little faster? Do you want me to slow down a bit?
No, ma'am, it's okay.
Okay, all right, all right.
Ma'am, it's perfectly fine for me.
Sorry.
It's perfectly fine for me, ma'am.
Okay, great, great, great. I'm glad. Um, what you do, just keep a notebook and a pen with you and just jot down the points that I'm telling you. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
right. All right. So
Yes,
that's all for now.
Okay, ma'am.
We will meet in the next class, which is on 19th. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you,
thank you.
everyone. Thank you.